I first got Sprint Robot Championship around a year ago in February 2019, when it was still in early access. Playing it then, I didn't enjoy it very much. The endless robot clomping sounds grate on my nerves. So much clomp, 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 clomp. That wasn't my only issue, but I assumed everything would be ironed out before launch. So, now that it's a final product and I've played a few more hours, how do I feel about Sprint Robot Championship? Well, I still don't like it very much. I am so sorry to say that. The clomping is still there and I can't turn it off. The menus are confusing. And the physics drives me crazy. However, that's not going to stop me from covering the game. I hope that you can find something here even though I cannot. Let's cover some mechanics. Sprint Robot Championship is a time trial robot running racing game. Notably, it's more about momentum than turning and braking like a car. The robot starts slow and bit by bit gains more speed. This makes it more difficult to control and dodge obstacles. It's neat that the aim is to stay on the ground as long as possible. You won't gain any speed while in the air. The robot legs must be driving you forward. The courses are my favorite part of the game. They wind around with a ton of obstacles, green speed-up lanes, portals, and there's more. It's fantastic how many ways there are around the track. But it's not as simple as taking the shortest path. Since momentum is critical, it could be better to take the longer route early on where you build more speed. And that is if you can keep the speed for the entire race without crashing. Then at the end of the race, you're scored based on time and if you manage to accomplish any of the side objectives. With that totaled, it's multiplied by the difficulty. The score is completely abstracted away from the time at this point, which I'm not sure I see the purpose of. It's strange. It isn't straightforward to compare scores on the leaderboard. I can't tell if I have a lower score from a routing issue or something else. Also, in championship mode, the leaderboard is the score for the entire circuit instead of per track, so the scores are quite obfuscated. But if you play trial mode, then it's strictly time-based and only the time is shown. There are even ghosts to face off against, but this seems like another game where I'll never understand. The ghost I faced off against was already moving much faster than me after the first checkpoint. What did I do wrong? Anyway, the robot has a few movement options. They can jump, mid-air dash, and slide, which allow the developers to build so many impressive tracks. Yet, a few of these mechanics are my issues with the game. For example, the magnetic wall you slide on to get to a new part of the track. They're so twitchy. If you catch it at the wrong angle, you won't make it to the next platform. If you try and jump, you'll either fly over or be too high and overshoot the landing. I can't get it right and it drives me crazy. My next example is the bounce pads. I've played games before where the developer placed automatic jump pads in a fun way to move the player. The first example that comes to mind is Sonic 2 Casino Zone. Sonic enters on one side and then bounce pads take him over to the other side. It mostly works without the player fighting it. Yet, in Sprint Robot Championship, the bounce is strange and is not reproducible. Moving at a slower speed after crashing still doesn't work the same every time. This is one of the tracks I rage quit, which I couldn't do since Alt F4 does not close the game. What the heck? Why? In games where you're trying to get a high score, it's best to get reproducible results, so I can work on getting that right path for the highest score or the lowest time. I'm not going to list any more examples, but they're all derived from the physics system. They're fidgety. It doesn't feel like a skill I can get better at with practice. I can't focus on getting a high score. So there's an online component to Sprint Robot Championship that shouldn't be relied on to have any players. Not that the servers won't stay up, but there doesn't seem to be many players. I always feel bad for a game that will not find the population it needs. It's kind of expected though, but if you want to make your game and it needs online play, then you gotta go for it. So you probably won't get to play with anyone or have any competition on the leaderboards. On a happier note, the robot customization is pretty good. You can swap patterns and colors for every limb. You're free to create something genuinely hideous. I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Overall, I want to love every game I play, but I'm not too fond of this one. Hopefully you found Sprint Robot Championship to be to your liking, and that would be great. Let me know.
Thank you. Sprint Robot Championship was... well... But what should I play next? Thanks for watching, and subscribe.